Yeah, and they're
Okay, so I'm standing here with Freddie, last name
Kreuger.
Kreuger, just like the movie, huh?
Yeah, just like the, well, I had it
Yeah,
first, though.
okay.
I hold the copyright.
You
on it.
hold the copyright. Now, I've seen you around this neighborhood for many, many years, and I served on the San Rose City Council 2004 to 2008, and I used to see you come in and make presentations, and you're still at it. Tell me what's going on out here today, and why are you with it?
You know, we are trying to teach
Tell her to sign the petition.
the importance of nature for our health, for our welfare. You know, in Roseland, we've got a number of issues that we're trying to address. The first one is we have 25% of the young people have asthma. That handicaps them in going to school and in their whole life, and it comes from too much intensity of city, particularly exhaust from cars, especially diesel. Kids don't know how to relate to the real world, so that a nature park is a teaching of how the world really works.
And I just saw a young man here today fascinated with a lizard that they found out there. And that kind of education, I was commenting to someone, is really good for a child to experience at such a young age in an environment like this. And this is the kind of thing you're trying to preserve, as I understand.
Well, you want to preserve how the world really is, and people learn not just about the lizards, but this park is full of squirrels, raccoons, possums, even some skunks.
Birds.
And the birds are so much more abundant here
even
than
a little
if you
doggy.
go downtown.
Yeah.
So something fundamental is missing. And yet children learn wonder, they learn joy, they learn how life is abundant and everything is worthy of respect and goodness, because everything that lives is holy.
And just look out there.
So look, right here's a turkey.
Yeah,
You see that right
sit
there
right
between
there
those
in the
two
middle.
trees?
See the red neck out there on that turkey. Yeah.
And what we have to do here is protect this, because there are some people who only see that as lunch on the hoof.
Yeah.
And yet there needs to be these other creatures to show us that there is a great family of life, that all of it, the more we can respect the world, the more we respect each other, the more there's a goodness and life that everybody shares in together. When you come into the woods, it doesn't make any difference if your background is rich or poor, skinny or fat. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Sort of like a time of relaxation and letting the stress of the city and all of its tensions fall away.
How long have you been in Santa Rosa?
20 years.
20 years.
And I came from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And
you stayed here for the whole time?
well, I live right there on the corner.
All right.
And
They're not looking for Easter eggs. What are they doing out there, Freddie?
well, we're cleaning the park because we all have a responsibility for the maintenance of our city. Right now, we're at a time of challenge where the city would like to see much more variety to the parks, but it's because they come with a narrow mentality that nature is one thing and recreation is another, and that we need all these different services, but we already have those in other parks. But nature has a quiet, and the quiet does not get along very well with noise, because as soon as you introduce the noise, what happened to the quiet that we were trying to protect and preserve? People need to slow down.
That's right.
The more you slow down, the more another quality bubbles up, which is respect and fellowship and a sense of the goodness of life. But when you're squeezed and you're pressured, you don't have that. Now, there's a very interesting story from Santa Rosa. It's kind of one of those stories that can change your life. There was a fellow And see, this is something we really shouldn't have. We shouldn't have the dogs running free because they chase all the turkeys. They like to chase animals.
Okay.
But, and here comes the turkey. Here comes two of them.
And
Right
a
now.
person
See,
behind
you
him.
can have that experience here more than you can at Haworth Park. Haworth Park, it's ducks and the water and the trees, and it's beautiful, and it's so crowded.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, the dog needs to be on a leash or it will chase the turkeys away.
You better
So-
watch out if you confront the turkey. That little dog.
That one especially. You can't take that one camping to the Sierras, or you have a leash, but there's nothing on the end of it in the morning.
Freddie, I'm going to have to cut here and get over to these
I'm
folks
sorry.
before I
talking
need to
you.
go.
But what I wanted to
Yeah.
tell you is Luther Burbank did an experiment with cactus.
Uh-huh.
He took a prickly pear with big, long thorns, and over 10 years, he loved it. He talked to it. He prayed its thorns off, so that now we have a unique thing that tells us about life in the city, which can seem kind of prickly.
Yeah.
But he showed that even a cactus can change. So as he took the thorns off of it, all of a sudden he made a food for the future.
Is that the aloe vera variety?
No,
Or
it's a bare cactus with no thorns, and
be
it
darned.
becomes something that, together with onions and potatoes, is a wonderful supplement for your breakfast.
I'll be darned.
You can see it on that next house.
Uh-huh.
1, 2, and then look on the driveway. There is the cactus without thorns.
Without thorns.
So it just shows everything can change, be lifted up, and become more serviceable and useful.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it on that, Freddie. And thank you so much for taking time out to tell us about all this. All righty. Thank you so much.
Appropriate regardless.
And it's part of the master plan, and the Creek's master plan.
Virginia, excuse me, you're on camera right now, and I've been out here this morning chatting with you and your cohorts, and you've got a wonderful spread out here, including literature and food and everything. Tell me about what's
May I take a bag for cleanup?
Oh yeah, thank you, Fred.
yeah. Tell
This is, well, the original group that are the reason this land is preserved.
Mm-hmm.
The original Friends of Roseland Creek group worked for 20 years to make sure that this was going to be an urban open space.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a newbie, along with Catherine. I live in Roseland.
Well, 20 years. You're a newbie, come on.
12 years. I've only been involved since November.
Okay.
But we had the group come and do a presentation to our California Native Plant Society Board of Directors, and we decided, we would support the whole idea of this being an urban open space.
Okay.
And this is their annual cleanup.
How many acres are we talking about
19
here?
and a half.
19 and a half
and the
acres.
city purchased part of it, and Ag and Open Space purchased part of it.
Okay.
There were 4 different parcels, from what I gathered. We need Dwayne here. And but it was because of this whole group of citizens that this even exists.
Okay.
We developed otherwise.
Okay.
And so that in itself is an amazing feat.
Yes, it is.
And so we're garnering support for.
Who are
this.
you hoping to get support from?
Well, the general public, especially the community of Roseland.
And this is one form of outreach
This
to.
is one form of outreach to whoever comes to this cleanup.
And what other kinds of things are you guys doing to bring this to? Who do we have here?
Oh, I'm Catherine
Catherine.
with the California Native Plant Society also.
Wonderful.
Yes,
and
yes.
and
Yes,
a friend of Roseland Creek. And while we're doing introductions, you, sir.
I'm Dave Self. I'm an ecologist and I've been working around the county.
Dave, what's your last name again?
Self, like myself, himself.
Okay, it's Dave Self here. And so, I was, give me your name one more time.
Catherine.
Catherine.
Yes.
We're all getting old here.
It takes us a couple
Yeah.
of tries. It's fine.
So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing, Catherine, with this group. What is your specialty, so to
This
speak?
group is getting information disseminated to the city government and also contacting different organizations, including school districts, because some teachers are interested in developing educational materials so that students can come here and learn more about the interdependence of all these different species that live here.
I see. Like
And-
that butterfly on your chart there.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we don't see any right now, but if a student had been told, perhaps someone could come and talk to the class and had been told what kind of a butterfly it was, then maybe they might go out during the period of time when these butterflies are more common later in the year when it warms up.
Yeah.
And then they see it and they'll remember
And
that they were told about this butterfly, and it's very exciting for
Yeah.
children when they can see something that they heard about in a classroom in real life.
and I can speak from
it
experience.
motivates them
yeah,
to learn.
I think if you have a sense, especially from a young age, of the importance of all these creatures, whether it's a bug or a lizard, like I saw the young man with earlier, you have a certain regard for the creature when you see it just come up on you impromptu. It's not automatically you want to step on it because it's moving fast and scary looking, and that was kind of how my growing up was. And yeah, when you start becoming more educated and aware, like you were talking about,
They appreciate it.
yeah.
They appreciate it so much.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for taking so much time. Is there anything else you want to throw out real quickly before? Yeah.
Just thanks for coming out today.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
My pleasure. You always
yeah.
learn something
I
in
know,
these
we
kinds of
learn a
things.
lot. Oh, and here's
And-
one of our workers
I
coming
am a
down
nut.
from the
I
field.
can't be allergic to nuts.
All righty. Now, tell us your name once again. I met
Hi.
you earlier, and this
I'm
is
Sean McNeil. I'm a volunteer with the California Native Plant Society. I'm really glad to be out here to help take care of this NeighborWood and support the community.
Okay. How did the name NeighborWood come about?
It's something somebody
Is it
told
a
me.
play on neighborhood?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The original group of people.
And there's probably one of the guys that had something to do with it, huh?
Yeah. He's very poetic, that one.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what you do professionally.
Oh, well, I work for the city of Santa Rosa. I help support our environmental compliance with our permits.
And what does that involve?
It involves making sure that our projects are following the environmental rules with support of wetlands, endangered species, as well as protecting the waters of the state.
So that's therein the reason you're out here today, kind of looking to make sure some of the tributaries and waterways and that kind of thing are
I'm out
in
here
good
today
shape.
solely as a volunteer.
As a
to
volunteer.
support,
How
with the Native
wonderful!
Plant Society.
Look
So,
at that.
not
So you
related to
really
my work.
walk the talk, in other words. Yeah.
Your words, that's very kind.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you out here, and I'm sure Dwayne over here, the one who invited me out here, is also equally happy to have you here. So I'll let you get back to what you're
Thanks.
doing.
All right,
Thanks for
thanks.
taking some time here.
I want you to meet Gary.
Gary,
Pierce.
Gary looks familiar to me.
Because we know each other from a time in the past when you were in local politics.
I thought you looked familiar to me. So what are you doing now? I'm semi-retired, to answer your question about that.
I'm just aging.
Well, I'm doing that too. As a matter of fact, you see this thing hanging on my arm here. This is called a cane. I have a nagging sciatica problem that just came on for showing off in my health club. I pushed more weight than I should have, and so now I'm carrying a cane for a few more weeks.
There you go.
Yeah. So what are you doing out here today?
Just helping with the volunteer effort to try and enhance the natural essence that is the beauty of
It is
Roseland.
beautiful. It's beautiful out
He's
here.
one of
Yeah.
the originals.
Is that right?
Gary and
I've been
Okay.
working on this property for some 20 years.
What's your dream for this property? What would you like to see?
To see the natural beauty respected and enhanced.
Uh-huh.
And
How do
not-
you enhance it? What do you envision as an enhancement?
One of the first things that would enhance it is
Mm-hmm.
not coming in here and turning it into any park anywhere USA with
Okay.
a bunch of artificial play equipment,
Uh-huh.
concrete, shade structures.
Uh-huh.
My view, we have a lot of natural shade.
Uh-huh.
We have a lot of natural sun.
Uh-huh.
We have a lot of recreational opportunities.
Okay.
If we would just simply respect what nature has provided for us
Uh-huh.
instead of deciding that we need to turn this into an urban park, and then go find some brownfield somewhere else, and try and say, well, this is the piece that we're going to restore nature on. Why don't we go ahead and use what nature's provided for us, where it's provided it, and where we have brownfields, that would seem to be a reasonable spot to look for urban development.
Okay. And so I'm liking that idea, the concept of keeping it pretty much the way it is. But let me ask you, would that prohibit like restroom facilities and things like that? I can understand some of the gazebos and the playground stuff and all that, but we're human beings and we have needs and things like that.
Well, and my day job is I'm a landscape architect, so doing park design is part of my day job.
Okay.
This is a public park, so it will need to meet all the standard requirements. The American with Disability Act must be respected. So the trails need to be ADA compatible. That's not my argument. My argument is that can be done without paving things over.
There you go.
You can use permeable materials.
I wanted to make that clear to
likewise, there will be an emergency vehicle access. That's a requirement. That's fine, but it doesn't mean that we have to take it to its urban extreme.
Exactly.
We can take those elements that are mandated and needed and respect them and integrate them into the park in a way that still maximizes nature and natural recreational opportunities. If the argument has been made that we need more sports fields, but there are sports fields across the street at Roseland Creek Elementary. There are more sports fields down at the end of Burbank Avenue at Southwest Community Park. There's a large grassy area over on West Avenue on Bear Farm. So I contend that we need more open space. Roseland is horribly underparked. So much so that
it's the most underparked territory north of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So given that, yes, we need all of these things, but all of these things can't happen on one individual piece of property. And to try and take a lot of different elements and mash them into one space gives you a whole lot of nothing. Because none of it is very functional.
Good point. Now something else is occurring to me. If you were to realize this wonderful dream that you've shared here today, wouldn't that tend to attract more visitation to this area from other places who have the same feeling you do about the urbanization of the different parks, that with all the structures and all that, there may be people who, by not necessarily their choice, they're living in other areas of the city, but they embrace this concept, and therefore they're going to bring in, it could be bicycle traffic, which is fine, but it also could be vehicle and automobile traffic and create some more issues for you.
Well,
or are you talking about doing this just for...
Well, it's in the same way that I live in Roseland, but I'm not an infrequent visitor to Howarth Park or Spring Lake. Because these are all public spaces, and everybody is welcome. My dream, my goal, is to not have this as a standalone satellite where everybody has to come here because it's the only thing that exists.
Right.
My dream is for people to say, wow, that's pretty neat. What are the opportunities in my community? If we're going to build a new park, if we're going to redevelop a park, what elements can we draw from that we see from the Roseland Park? Because in the same way Howarth Park can't supply the needs of all of Santa Rosa, this singular park can't provide all the needs to Roseland, much less all of Santa Rosa. But it can be a model for what could be done in other areas and how other people could take this as a concept, as a model, and express their desires in their own environment.
Wonderful. If you have one of your business cards, can you leave it here for me or give it to me before you get back out there and get to work? Because if
what
I
I'm going to
want
have to do is write it on a piece of
can
paper.
you do that for me?
I'll
So
be more than happy to.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again after all these years.
Really nice to see you as well.
I'm telling you. So you just heard. You're welcome. I didn't really get a chance to talk to David here. David, can you stand up a little bit, or you want to sit down, or sit down? Sit down. Okay, and we'll let Virginia find her chair here. Okay.
Oh, I like all the oaks.
Yeah, that's
So let me see if I can sit my body down here too while we're at it. This is just a real informal. See those sounds we were talking about earlier? This is, I want you to state your name one more time for the folks out here and me remembering, and tell us a little bit about what you do professionally, and then we'll get into the segue here.
My name is Dave Self. I'm a plant.
SELF, you heard that.
SELF,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
I'm a plant ecologist. Been studying how to reassemble healthy ecosystems for most of my professional life.
What is your favorite plant?
Oh my, there's so many wonderful plants. What was my favorite one I saw yesterday? It's this little plant. The whole plant is that tall.
Oh my
and
goodness.
the flower is that tall.
Wow.
And the nectar tube on it is so slender that most insects landing on it would bend the tube closed.
Wow. And
So
what's the name of that
The
plant?
pollinator has to be able to hover, and it's pollinated by a little fly that has a tongue longer than its
Are you
longer than
kidding?
its body,
Wow.
and it can hover just like one of those tanker planes that fuels.
Wow. And then go right. So
Totally amazing flower, and I can't remember its name at this
I'll be
point.
darned. What color is it?
It's the population I saw yesterday was just really nice, creamy white.
Uh-huh. And then this creature that was coming down to get some of the pollen or whatever. What's the use of that creature? Can you help the viewers understand it? Because everything ties in. We were just talking about.
This little bee, or actually it's a fly. Its specialty are flowers like this, and they will fly long distance just to visit that flower because they know, because of the structure, that it's going to be full of reward for them because very few other critters
So
can.
how do we know not to, like earlier I was talking to somebody about my lack of knowledge on the ecological benefits of different creatures and things, and growing up with that absence of knowledge, I would see something that I didn't like the way it looked and stamp it out and whatever.
Sure.
How